All right, so today I want to talk about coaches, within strongman community. It's a relatively new phenomenon. I know when I started 12 years ago, nobody had a coach, and now it seems like everybody's got a coach. So I want to talk about: do you actually need a coach? And then if you do need a coach, how do you slog through the mess of coaches out there to find one who's actually worth a shit? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Start off with, do you really need a coach? Um, if you've got a decent group of people to train with, where you've got some more seasoned athletes who know proper technique and proper form, maybe, maybe not. I think that's as useful as a lot of coaches are. In fact, probably more useful than most coaches. Having a decent training group that you can get to at least once a month, honestly, is probably better in a lot of cases. Um, the but another big thing to look at, especially if you're starting out, if you can't get to a good training group, if the training groups that are near you aren't that good, they don't have any seasoned competitors, whatever. Um, they do. I'm big in favor of coaches on a short-term basis. They can help you figure out how to get past plateaus. They can help you correct training imbalances, training issues, stuff like that. So I'm definitely in favor of them from that standpoint. I'm not sure about, long term. I mean, to be perfectly honest, you're probably going to need more than one coach, because you're just, if you were going along if you were moving up, way up into the sport, you were eventually going to outgrow coaches. It's just a fact. It's just the way it goes. So, but one of the big questions to whether or not do you need a coach, is one, whether or not you're willing to put in the time and effort to educate yourself on how to program for strength sports. There's a lot of work, a lot of things to learn. In fact, it's a constant journey of learning. I've been lifting, with intent now for well over 30 years, and it's been a consistent journey of learning and learning, tweaking, educating myself every chance. So, do you have an open enough mind, and are you willing to commit to learning as much as you possibly can in order to properly program for yourself? And then another big thing is, are you disciplined enough to make yourself do the stuff that you need to do? Um, you know, a lot of people, a whole lot of people, are only able to do the things that they like, or do the things that stroke their ego. And the training center is not the place to stroke your ego. That's where you get better. That's where you build for your sport. So if you can't do that for yourself, if you cannot force yourself to do the things that you must do to get better, to do the things you suck at to improve, then you need a coach. You need somebody who's going to put that in there and hold you accountable to doing the things that you should be doing. So that's a big one. And another one is purely economic. How much money are you willing to invest into a hobby? I can't speak for the rest of the world, but in the United States, strongman's a hobby, and that's all it's ever going to be. 99.99% likely. In the United States, we've got one person, one only, out of over 300 million, who can pay their bills based on what they win from strongman competitions, and that would be Brian Shaw. So yeah, I know you've gotten fourth place in Southwestern Des Moines Strongest Man in the novice division, and you've gotten that fourth place 3 times now. So you're clearly destined for great things. But I'm going to guess you're probably not going to be number two to pay your bills with your strongman winnings. Just, just a thought. So, assuming that it's not a career that you were pursuing, as far as in career that's actually going to pay bills, then you need to critically look at how much money you are going to invest in it. It's just the way it is. So, let's say, for the sake of argument now, that you have enough discretionary income to where you can get a coach without worrying about paying your bills, and you know that you are not disciplined enough to make yourself do the stuff that you really need to do. So okay, now you're going to get a coach. How do you find a good coach? Because there are a whole lot of really shitty, horrible, awful coaches out there. You've got so many of these dumb fucks, and I wish I could say it differently, but I mean, God, they somehow think they're qualified to coach other people. A good example. So this guy, he gets dead last at one of my contests in the men's novice division. Out of 8 people, he got fucking buried. He zeroed a couple of events. Literally, we could have spotted him 5 points and he still wouldn't have been in 7th place. He got crushed. None of these guys, none of the other 7 guys in his class went on to be pro strongmen, so it's not like he got curb stomped by a bunch of world beaters. And the next time I cross paths with this dude, he's coaching people. He's got clients. He's the strongman trainer of the stars now. I'm like, the fuck does that happen? and it happens so damn much, and I don't understand it. I see so many people who have no fucking clue, 0 clue. God, I was at. I remember this poor woman at nationals one year. She'd never picked up a sandbag before. So she's asking me at nationals how to pick up a sandbag. And I asked her, I'm like, we've known these events now for like a year. So how have you not ever picked up a sandbag? And her answer was that her coach said, well, I didn't really need to actually pick up the sandbags to be good at the event. Cool. And that's the kind of shit that's out there. And people are falling for it left and right. So how do you not get one of these pieces of shit? So and there are different levels of coach. There are different types of coach. There are ones that I call they're template salesmen. They're not really coaches. They have a template. They give the template to everybody, and that's all they do. Maybe it's a great template. Maybe the world's best template. I don't know. But, and then there are people who actually provide, only in-person coaching. And then there are people who do online coaching, mixes of the two, obviously. But, and then of course there are those that know what the hell they're doing and those that have no clue. Some things that you cannot look at that they just don't matter. Their own athletic career and their own lifts really don't have any bearing. I think that if you have somebody who's competed a bit, has a lengthy history of competing, they're probably going to be a little bit better of a strongman coach than somebody who's never competed. There are exceptions to that. I don't think Nathan Payton has competed in strongman. He may have, I don't know, but I don't think he has. But he's done enough study and he's worked with enough people and he's smart enough that he's been able to figure out how to be a damn good coach without actually having a lengthy strongman competition career, or a high level one. So it's not an absolute necessity, but I think it helps. It definitely, you definitely want to look at somebody with a little bit of a, if they have no competitive career, or if their competitive career is, getting curb stomped as a novice, um, you probably need to question whether or not they're qualified to be a coach. But a good athlete does not a good coach make. Same thing for, okay, they've got a 900-pound deadlift. Okay, so what? Um, you are going to learn more from somebody who completely sucked, who had to work their ass off to then become not shitty, than, who you had to work and study and trial and error just to be mediocre. You will learn more from them, and they will have more to offer as a coach than somebody who was able to deadlift 750 the first time they ever touched the bar. There's natural talent often makes people worse coaches because they didn't have to work to get to improve. Um, and then who they coach is also not something that really makes much of a difference. They may have lucked into, getting a highly talented athlete, and damn near anything you do with the super talented athlete is going to work. That was that dumb shit I told you about. He lucked into a woman who would go on to be one of the better pro strong women out there. And, he just, pure dumb luck that he was able to hoodwink her into accepting his services. She's damn lucky he didn't fucking kill her and render her unable to compete in some of the dumb shit he was teaching her. But sorry. So, but so who they coached it doesn't necessarily matter. What matters, the big things that matter, are the results that they get for their clients. Can they demonstrate that they've taken somebody who is, and you can discount them if they're only able to get new people, and so they can take a regular non-athletic person who's never done anything and improve them. Anybody can do that. That's like the easiest thing in the world. Because they're going from doing absolutely nothing to doing something, so they're going to get stronger. So, they don't call it the newbie gains for nothing. So if they can take a non-newbie and improve upon that non-newbie, then they have a chance of being a decent coach. That's, they may, that's something that they can possibly, they have to be able to demonstrate that they can take people and raise them up from where they were, and where they were can't be zero. If it's, if they're coming from, so they have to be able to prove that they have taken people from, something to something more. Going from nothing to something doesn't really prove anything. They should be able to demonstrate that they can work with different body types. If you come to them and say that, hey, how would you, what kind of cues would you give a deadlifter if they are short with a long torso in relation to their limbs? And then if you ask them, okay, now what cues would you give to a tall lifter with a short torso relative to their limbs? The answer better be different. Because they are two radically different body types, and they don't lift the same. So if they would cue them up the same way, they really don't know what they're talking about. And the biggest thing is the time and effort that they're going to put into you as a client. They should have an assessment. They should ask you what your injury history is, what your training history is. Goals to a degree, because goals are less useful in that. I mean, they're going to ask you most likely if they have any sense at all, but it's not everybody wants to get better. Everybody wants to be the best they can be. So the goals are kind of up in the air. But they should, do an assessment of, basically, what can you physically do? What is your work capacity? What kind of stuff do you have at your disposal? If you're not working in person with them, if you're not working at their training center, or they're not coming to you where they can see what all you have available, they need to be able to, instead of just writing a generic routine and then assuming you have all this different stuff to work with, they should know that in advance or ask about it in advance. And then, the amount of time that they're going to commit. Like I said, we've got, a number of coaches, a lot of coaches out there that are simply template salespeople. They just, okay, everybody gets the same damn thing. Here you go. And if you want to, if all you want is a template and like a mild bit of accountability that you're actually following the template, that's great. There's no point in paying, a couple $100 a month for that, because anybody can do a template. It's not that hard. But if they're actually going to do, customized program, make sure they're going to actually do something for you, specifically for you. They are going to review video or, Skype or something, and, they're going to have sessions with you and go over what what your actual strengths and weaknesses are, and develop the program around that, around you specifically. And if they're not going to put in that kind of time, find someone else. So that's basically it. The certification, I touched on that a little bit. The certifications, they're not the end all and be all. I'll say that. To get one of the certifications, you have to have at least a certain amount of you have to have studied some at least. So it's, a little bit there. There aren't really certifications for strongman per se. There's that one CrossFit certified strongman coach that's god awful. Don't even get me started on that one. But it's worthless. But there are a lot of strength and conditioning type of certifications out there that at least they had to, study a little bit, so they at least have half a clue from studying. But there are also a whole lot of people out there that don't have any certifications that know their stuff very well because they've just dug into it really hard and studied their asses off. So it's not the end all and be all. You're just going to have to talk to them and, kind of determine whether, try and determine if they actually know what the heck they're talking about. So the deadlift question's a good one. I would also ask for, specifics on how would they program some, just a quick idea of, good one is, getting a woman to be able to do like 10 dead hang chin-ups. How would you program a regular woman to do that? Because it takes some thought. It's not a particularly easy task. So if they can come up with a decent outline that doesn't sound too stupid, then that would give you an indicator that they might know what they're doing. So anyway, those are some tips on how to find a coach that actually knows what the hell they're doing. And I'd say the other thing, the references, like I said, they need to be able to demonstrate that they've improved people. Most of the references, their current clients, they're all going to say they're great. Most past clients, and, depending on how they parted. Actually, that's a big point. If they have past clients that still speak well of them, that's actually a great sign. And I would take that as a bigger feather in the cap. In a lot of cases, you're going to have a lot of clients that suck too, and so the clients didn't follow their program at all, and then blame them. So of course they're going to say bad things. So like I said, they need to demonstrate that they've improved people as opposed to just regular referrals. But that's kind of my short-ish version of, do you need a trainer, and do you need a coach, and how to find one that doesn't suck. And if you do happen to need one, I hope you find one that doesn't suck, and I hope they're great. So anyway, that's it. Lift heavy, laugh often. Talk to you later.